Spotlight is proudly sponsored by HEC Media, St. Louis's home for arts, education, and culture.
I really hope that our guests learn to not be so serious.
The things that bugs do make us look plain and boring.
A real feeling experience.
Today on Spotlight, in honor of Valentine's Day, a cardiologist offers advice to couples on how to keep their hearts healthy. Plus, a fun date idea at the Botanical Garden that involves 700 unique kinds of orchids. And then dine at a new restaurant where the staff is mean to you on purpose, why customers are loving it. But first, the author of a popular and unique love story, how writing books changed his life. It's Sunday and you're watching the multiple Emmy Award-winning Spotlight.
I'm tired, I want to go. Are you gonna walk me home or what?
You have poor social skills. You have a problem.
I have a problem?
Mm-hmm.
You say more inappropriate things than appropriate things.
Imagine being the person behind the idea for this star-packed, Academy Award-winning blockbuster.
I'm ready. I feel motivated. I don't feel so angry all the time.
Your debut manuscript for Silver Linings Playbook is optioned to be a movie before it's even published. And between going to the Oscars and rubbing elbows with celebrities, you learn it's hit the New York Times bestsellers list. You follow that up with 7 more successful novels. You're living the dream, right? Matthew Quick says, not exactly.
I've always been really open about my struggles with mental health since I published Silver Linings Playbook in 2008. Before that, I was not at all open, and I think that writing of that novel kind of tricked me into coming out as somebody with depression and anxiety issues. But one of the things that my dark little secret was, as I was going literally around the world telling everyone, hey, if you have mental health issues, reach out and get some help, you know, and it's okay to get help. But I wasn't getting help. Like I was not getting the help that I needed, and it took me a little bit of a breakdown, if you will.
He realized he was numbing past hurts with alcohol, so he gave it up and then fell into one of the darkest times in his life. Writing was Matthew Quick's therapy, but suddenly he couldn't even do that.
I was blocked for years, and when I say I was blocked, I would sit down every single day for 8 hours, and I couldn't write a sentence.
For 8 hours?
Yeah, sometimes longer than that. A year would go by, and I'd have 10 pages, and I would show them to my wife, and she would cry because they were so bad. She's like, what happened to you?
Matthew Quick started Jungian psychotherapy to try to find out.
Jungian analysis is really a deep dive into the self. And so when you enter in, you're trying to understand all of the things that you're not consciously aware of about yourself. And so it's not a quick fix. You go in looking to really understand yourself in a deeply transformative and profound way over years and years and years of analysis.
As he worked through analysis, a narrative voice finally returned. Before long, he had the story of Lucas Goodgame, a man going through tremendous trauma following a community tragedy. Matthew Quick discusses the challenging yet enlightening journey he took to write this soul-bearing novel that celebrates the healing power of art and provides hope in the form of a supportive community.
This book is about male friendship, it's about male struggles, it's about male mental health issues and a community rallying around, and that's something that's near and dear to my heart.
It's called an epistolary, is that right?
Yeah,
when it's
yeah.
written in the form of letters.
Yep.
So it's Lucas Goodgame, the main character, is writing these letters. And Lucas has gone through a very traumatic event, and his state of mind is he's having fantasies and all these things. So he's not a necessarily reliable narrator.
He's definitely an unreliable narrator.
Right?
Yes, yeah.
But at the end, everything is revealed, which is wonderful. What was it like for you to step into his psyche?
I had to feel all of his pain. And, you know, he comes up with this fantastical story at the beginning of the novel because he loses his wife, and he starts to see her visiting him every night as an angel. And, you know, as a reader, you think, whoa, how can this be? You know, but you also see how this beautiful fantasy that he has keeps him from totally falling apart. And as he shares this fantasy very timidly with the people in his community, they hold that fantasy for him very gently until he's finally ready to let it go. And one of the things that I was exploring throughout the novel was how narrative and story can be medicine. Every day I was weeping and laughing, and there was joy and there was sadness, and it was a real feeling experience. I think there's a reason why almost everybody likes to go to the movies and stare up at the big screen, or we like to read novels, or we like to hear stories because they help us understand what's going on inside of us.
To hear what he found out about Hollywood after going to the Oscars, watch the full interview at hecmedia.org.
For original programming and award-winning content, explore hecmedia.org. Find all of your favorite genres, including the arts and sciences. Go in-depth with the latest research. Get insight into new technologies. Learn about breakthrough discoveries. Find it all in one place. Explore hecmedia.org.
Valentine's Day is all about the heart. Those feelings from within are often expressed with a box of chocolates and a glass of wine over a romantic dinner. And it's believed those sweet treats have some heart-healthy benefits. But do they really? For years now, scientists have explored potential benefits of dark chocolate, having antioxidants that may be beneficial for the heart.
There's some weak data that antioxidants can help decrease inflammation.
Interventional cardiologist Jacob Goldstein at Mercy Hospital St. Louis says that while more research would be needed, dark chocolate or any chocolate is not harmful to the heart when consumed in moderation. That's the good news.
As far as Valentine's Day is concerned, if there's a certain cake or chocolate or candy you like to have, go ahead and have it. It's okay to have stuff that you like to eat.
Just like chocolate, wine is associated with the Valentine's Day holiday. Red wine, in particular, has substances including resveratrol and antioxidants that some scientists say may be good for the blood vessels and the heart, lowering the risk of heart disease. But study results are, again, mixed, and cardiologists say more research is needed.
There is some weak data that red wine has some beneficial effects on the heart as compared to other types of alcohol. So if you're going to choose to have one or the other, I usually say a glass of red wine is absolutely okay at night. 1 to 2 red glasses of wine a night for a man is okay. Usually about one glass of wine a night for a woman.
Wine and chocolate are not the only way to your loved one's heart. Couples can take care of each other's hearts on Valentine's Day by choosing heart health as something to work on together. After all, February is American Heart Month.
Things you can do as couples around Valentine's Day, going for a jog together, long walk together, going to work out together, pickleballs become very popular. Anything where you can both get the heart rate up for a good 30 minutes or more is going to be beneficial to the heart.
Couples can also choose a heart-healthy diet, one that involves more fresh fruits and vegetables, as well as lean proteins that are lower in cholesterol and fat for most of the week.
Big picture is majority of the days of the week, kind of a boring Tuesday night should kind of be more, chicken, vegetables, salads, green things, but you can still have things that you like to eat. You can still have a steak once in a while. You can still have a burger and fries once in a while.
Dr. Goldstein suggests another way to care for the heart on Valentine's Day and during this Heart Month by talking with loved ones about screening for heart disease.
Calcium screening is something that I utilize a lot. It's really a risk stratification tool. Having a month to talk about heart health is always a good idea. Heart health is always important. If you don't have a primary care doctor or you haven't seen a cardiologist in a long time, getting back in to get screened for blood pressure, screened for cholesterol, screened for diabetes, talk about smoking cessation, talking about diet, exercise, and weight loss. This is always the opportune time to do it is now.
Scan the QR code on your screen to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
We're standing in the new Emerson Conservatory at the Missouri Botanical Garden. This is our annual Orchid Show, and it's first time back in 3 years. The Orchid Show highlights our permanent collection, of which no one can see except for a few during the year in the conservatory or the climatron. We have a large amount of our permanent collection on display, which is around 5,500 orchids. We're different from other botanical gardens in that we get to show our display with our own collection, as opposed to buying in orchids for visitors to see. Our orchid collection is neat because we have so many. It's a winter blooming collection that dates back to 1895, of which we still have a plant in our collection. Orchids themselves range in size from a pinhead to a football. So it's not just those orchids that you see in the grocery store on display. There's a wide collection of really cool orchids, including the ones that mimic their pollinator themselves. The color story is all over the board, from white to purples to oranges to reds. And of course, the different genera that are involved are vastly different from each other in presentation, even though they're part of the orchid family. So it's very cool in that way. We come in early in the morning and we put out just things that are on display in full bloom. We cut off past blossoms and swap out things that maybe need to come in and out of display. We spend 2 hours in the morning before the show opens to do that. So you should come back to the show multiple times because you'll see different flowers every time you're here. Orchids are one of the largest flowering plant families in the world. They're on every continent besides Antarctica. Morphologically, they have 3 petals and 3 sepals. Some may be fused, which give a different presentation. Orchids are important because really they're like the canary in the coal mine. If orchids thrive, we know our environments are thriving. If they start to deteriorate or we notice some type of failure amongst that plant, like many others, then the overall ecosystem and the environment is not doing well itself. So our new space, Emerson Conservatory, is a new environment to put the most amount of collections on display as possible. We now house the Mediterranean collection that's permanently in here, and then we fuse in our seasonal displays. The space is really great because it's climatically controlled year-round. So not only do people this time of year get to see more of a tropical environment in the space, the other times of the year they will see our Mediterranean collection blooming, as well as other displays of Mediterranean plants throughout the year. We're so excited to be presenting the Orchid Show again for the first time in 3 years. So come out and visit. It runs through February 26th. And for more information, check out mobot.org.
A talented jazz quartet later on Spotlight.
We are at Karen's Diner, St. Louis. Shouldn't you already know who I am by now? I'm Jason, a head Karen. Let's move on. To be a Karen is really embodying that rudeness, that sourness, that entitlement that we deal with so often when we come into contact with real-world Karens. This is an idea that originated in Australia, and we have locations all over the world, and now our very first location here in St. Louis, Missouri for the US. All the best rude people live in St. Louis. That's why. Well, here in St. Louis, it's very different from the rest of the world because we have certain rules that we have to abide by, such as no racism. We have to watch our language to a certain extent because here in America, we are a little on the softer side than they are in the UK and Australia. Over there, it's almost anything goes.
Table 8, go find it yourself.
I'll take her.
You can count, right?
When a guest comes to Karen's Diner, they can expect the absolute worst service imaginable, but some of the best food that you are going to get in the area.
My immediate reaction at the door, it was shocking.
Most patrons are absolutely enthused by what we have going on. They want to have fun, they want to give it back to the Karens as well, and when I say give it back, they want to be just as mean, even though they're not that funny. We are the funny ones, keep it to the professionals. We have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to breaking the rules for our employees as well as our guests. So if we have a guest that comes in and they body shame, which is a really big one that people want to go to, they see someone who's a little bit bigger and they immediately want to call them fat, thinking that it's funny, and that's something that will get them removed immediately.
Karen! Oh yes, come here, Karen!
There is absolutely a bonus to being named Karen. If your name is Karen and you come here, we alert everyone at the door that we have a real, true-life Karen walking in. And the second we see you, we grab our megaphone, all of our bells and whistles, our entire staff shows up, and we give them the best Karen greeting possible. The servers that we keep on staff have become actors after hearing about the concept of what Karen's is. We've urged them to treat this as a show with a restaurant aspect and not a restaurant with a show aspect.
It definitely is an experience you should have. It's refreshing, it's liberating because people don't often dare to tell the truth because of societal norms. And here you get it. Like, we don't have anything invested in it. That's what the environment is for. And everybody needs a dose of truth sometimes to humble themselves.
Social media has been a very large part of the diner, considering it is our main marketing tool, because people love watching outlandish things happen online and they want to come and experience it for themselves.
You want better lighting. No lighting's gonna help you, babe.
Our TikTok is typically booming with different Karen content from all over the world. So on our Facebook page, which is Karen's Diner St. Louis, you can see the full interaction that we have between the guest and the head Karen leading the page, where they show up and they're rude, they're nasty. I really hope that our guests learn to not be so serious in all aspects of their life. That sometimes life is just fun.
Is there anything sweeter than a pixie stick? These candy-filled straws were invented by accident in the 1930s by St. Louisan John Fish Smith, who was trying to create a drink mix called Fruitola. His idea was to make Kool-Aid even easier by putting the sugar right in the pouch. The drink was a bust, but Smith noticed children eating the sweet dust directly. Rather than scrap the idea, he decided to leave the beverage business and become a candy man. By the 1950s, his Sunline Candy Company had paired the pouches of powder with a candy stick in Lick-A-Maid, now Fun Dip, and repackaged it in straws as Pixie Sticks. Smith decided to press the same mixture into a tablet form that he dubbed Sweet Tarts.
HEC Media, bringing you culture and community. Find all of HEC's positive programming and award-winning content at hecmedia.org.
I carried a watermelon.
Love. It can make people say,
Carried a watermelon.
and do some pretty crazy things.
We might think that our behaviors as a species are interesting, and if anything like my family, sometimes a little bit weird when it comes to courtship. How many of us have not been embarrassed by how our father is trying to impress our mother at the kitchen table?
Save the neck for me, Clark.
But the things that bugs do make us look plain and boring.
Here's just one example. Some of these moths at the butterfly house will emerge without any mouth parts, so they can't eat. They have just one job: find a female and mate before they die.
And moths are masters of chemical romance.
Fortunately, males do have huge furry antennae to receive those chemical messages from females.
Moths, females will secrete a pheromone that can attract males from nearly 30 miles away. If he's lucky, she's a few meters away. If he's unlucky, she's 28 miles. He's got a bit of a flight to go, and his hope is that he gets there before any other male does, following that pheromone trail. Some predators have keyed in on this fact that those pheromones are irresistible. There's types of spiders that actually can produce the moth mating pheromone to attract male moths to them. So you're a male moth, you get a lovely whiff of the lovely melange of a female, you go flying towards her, and instead of finding this gorgeous, larger, feathery antennaed female, you're in the grasp of a spider and becoming its next meal. So, love is dangerous. It's not always roses, and sometimes it's finding the wrong species and becoming someone's dinner.
Some bugs try to buy their way out of treacherous mating situations with large gifts.
We probably hear a lot about the praying mantis, and most of them know that sometimes mantids, especially the male mantids, literally lose their head in the courtship ritual. So the females will eat the male, provides her with nutrients so she can give those nutrients to the babies. It's not always the case. It's not fait accompli that if you're a male mantis that you're going to lose your head in mating, but it's not uncommon. Spiders are kind of the same way. A lot of times the male spiders are a lot smaller than the females, so they overcome this by presenting the females with nuptial gifts, which are food. So essentially, here, let me give you something else to eat while we take the time to breed, and if I'm lucky, I'm going to get everything said and done and gone before you finish this meal. So there's been fun studies done where they've shown that the males will go after larger prey items as nuptial gifts, and of course, going after prey isn't risk-free. The larger the prey item, the bigger the risk. So males are taking this risky behavior because it's also risky to show up with a gift that's too small. Because if she finishes it too fast, you're the second course.
Believe it or not, cockroaches are some of the more romantic suitors. The males will sometimes set the mood with a meal for the females and even stick around to help provide for the family.
I think many of us don't think much about bug social lives. They come together to find a mate, of course, but they also come together to find food, to find a habitat, to share resources. Very often these group displays do have impacts on us too. Roaches are, again, a really good example because the things that they do enrich the soil and help us out tremendously.
All of these eat, pray, love tendencies are on display at the Butterfly House in February. Plus, it's releasing thousands of these big, bright blue morpho butterflies.
More than we have at any other time of the year.
As a part of its Morpho Mardi Gras.
You'll see our blue morphos. You'll get to learn a little bit about bug courtship and a lot about what makes bugs the party animals that they are.
And in terms of crazy bug love stories,
we haven't yet talked about hermaphrodites or even animals that can change their sex over time.
These entomologists have a lot more they could share with you.
It's a wild, wild world out there.
And when you learn about the level of danger involved in some of these creatures' courtships.
Fireflies are another amazing example of deceit. The males and the females have this light ship ritual that is specific to the species. So the males will do a pattern that attracts the right females so they can come together and further the species. Well, there are some females that they're called Proteus fireflies, which is unique is that the female adults actually eat. A lot of times the adults won't eat, they come together to breed and that's the end of it. Well, these females want to be able to provide their eggs with a chemical defense. And they get the chemical for that defense from other firefly males. So these Proteus fireflies are known as the femme fatale. They actually show a light pattern that attracts males of a different species. It's not the males of their species, it's a different type of firefly that she attracts in, and of course, a rude awakening for him. It's not the right female, it's a female that's gonna eat him. She eats him and then she takes the chemicals from him, puts them into her eggs so that her eggs are distasteful.
All of this may give you a more positive perspective on love as we know it.
We appreciate being a human a lot more because as complicated as dating is, for a male, I never worried about getting my head bit off, never had to worry about losing any body parts or the female just straight up eating me. And while my gifts were present, they weren't maybe as necessary as they are. My life didn't depend upon it.
HEC Media. Recognized, celebrated, honored time and again for excellence in the industry. Mid-America Emmys, Tellys, NATOAs, Auroras, and other awards. HEC Media has been bringing home the hardware for over a decade. Hundreds of nominations and wins, from regional to international levels. Arts and education to author talks, magazine shows and documentaries, individual craft achievements to overall excellence. Plus so much more. And although doing good work is its own reward, recognition, well, it's nice too. See what all the fuss is about. Find all of the award-winning content at hecmedia.org.
Heaven happiness I see when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. Heaven, I'm in heaven, and the cares that hang around me through the week seem to vanish like a gambler's lucky streak when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. Oh, I'd have to climb a mountain to reach the highest peak, but it wouldn't thrill me half as much as dancing cheek to cheek. Oh, I'd love to go out fishing in a river or a creek, but it wouldn't thrill me half as much as dancing cheek to cheek. Dance with me, I want my arms about you. The charms about you will carry me through to heaven. I'm in heaven, and my heart beats so that I can hardly speak. And I see to find the happiness I can seek. When we're out together, take a cheek, cheek to cheek, cheek to cheek, cheek to cheek. Heaven, I'm in heaven, and my heart beats so that I can hardly speak. And I see to find the happiness I seek when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. I'm in heaven, I'm in heaven, and the cares that hang around me through the week seem to vanish like a gambler's lucky streak when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. Oh, I'd have to climb a mountain to reach the highest peak, but it wouldn't thrill me half as much as dancing cheek to cheek. Oh, I'd love to go out fishing in a river or a creek, but it wouldn't thrill me half as much as dancing cheek to cheek. Dance with me, I want my arms about you. The charms about you will carry me through to heaven. And my heart beats so that I can hardly speak. And I see to find the happiness I can seek when we're out together, when we're out together, when we're out together, taking it and dancing, taking it and dancing, dancing, dancing cheek to cheek, to cheek, to cheek.
Next week, a book about power, privilege, and the rise of an American dynasty. Plus, artwork that hopes to inspire your inner creativity. Thanks for watching Spotlight. Join us next Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on KPLR 11.